Good morning. Hello. Welcome to my stream. I am now that I'm all. Oh, no. Sorry, I started too soon. One second. I'm back. Sorry about the interruption. I have just gone through all of the Advent of Code stuff, and now that we're done with that, we're going to get back to my regular stream stuff, which is the roguelike tutorial. So we can close this out. Oh, let's transition over to my main display here, so I don't forget to do that. Come on, get rid of that. And now we're back to the roguelike, which is over here. There we go. All right, so the last thing we did was finish the prefab levels and sections and vaults. And what did we do here? All right, and then we were going to get to layering and builder chaining. We can get rid of sea cucumbers. That was for that. And then we can see, do we still have our HTTP server running? We do. I should be able to hit refresh. Oh, and we still have a bunch of stuff in console mode. Okay, so let's clean that up and then get started with the next chapter. RG console. Oh, okay, maybe I just didn't rebuild because the only console messages are these. Let's refresh on that as soon as it finishes building. Okay, that's better. Now we don't have all those console messages. All right, so let's start with the next chapter, layering and builder chaining. So let's see, we just finished room vaults. We only have a few more chapters to go before we're going to actually dive into this making a game thing, which is going to be fun, I hope. All right. The last few chapters have introduced an important concept in procedural generation: chained builders. We're happily building a map called wavefunction collapse to mutate the map, calling our prefab builder to change it again, and so on. This chapter will formalize this process a bit, expand upon it, and leave you with a framework that lets you clearly build new maps by chaining concepts together. Okay. A builder-based interface. Builder chaining is a pretty profound approach to procedurally generating maps and gives us an opportunity to clean up a lot of the code we've built thus far. Alright. We want to interface similar to the way we build entities in specs. A builder onto which we can keep chaining builders and return it as an executor ready to build the maps. We also want to stop builders from doing more than one thing. They should do one thing and do it well. There are two major types of builders: those that just make a map and only make sense to run once, and those that modify an existing map. We'll name those an initial map builder and a meta map builder. Just make a map and then modify a map. Okay. This gives us an idea of the syntax we want to employ. Our builder should have one initial builder and then n meta builders. It makes sense that the builders should have a start with method that accepts the first map and additional with methods to change the builders. Oh, I see what they're saying. They want to do it. Yeah, so if we look at our spawner code, for example, the way it works is when you create something, you say create and then dot with, dot with, dot with. So that's what they're saying is a start with and then add chain on additional with methods. It also makes sense to no longer make individual builders responsible for setting up their predecessors. Ideally, a builder shouldn't have to know anything about the process beyond what it does. So we need to abstract the process. Okay, so we're going to create a new builder map type in mod rs. Oh, that's right. This thing has the whole thing. Okay, so let's create a new struct here. Yeah, spawn list. And this is the same spawn list we've had before, right? Oh, it's not in this file. That's okay. Pub map. Pub starting. So this is similar to the actual map code. And history, so we can show the maps being built. Okay? You notice that this has all the data we've been building into each map builder and nothing else. It's intentionally generic. We're passing it to builders and letting them work on it. All the fields are public, yeah. I mean, we've been doing that since day one, is making everything public. The builder map also needs to facilitate the task of taking snapshots for debugger viewing of maps as we work on the algorithms. So we're going to put one function into builder map to handle snapshotting of development. Okay, so this is the same take snapshot we had from before. We're just refactoring the other code, I guess. Take snapshot. And it should be similar, right? If I just look at map. Take snapshot. Oh, it's not in here. Oh. I wonder where it went. It is in it's in yeah, it's in each one of them has their own version of it. Yeah. Okay. So we're making this, we're putting this in one spot, which is good. And actually, let's just grab one. Right, it's just this code. Snapshot map clone for V and reveal tiles. Iter mute, V is true. Push snapshot. Yeah. Okay, so it's the same code. Yeah, this is the same as the take snapshot code we've been mixing into our builders. Since we're using a central repository of map building knowledge, we can promote it to apply to all of our builders. So now we're going to create a builder chain. Previously, we've passed map builder classes around, each capable of building previous maps. Since we've concluded this is a poor idea and defined the syntax we want, we'll make a replacement. The builder chain is a master builder. It controls the whole build process. To this end, we'll add the builder chain type. Reese Jack, thank you for the follow. Okay, so we'll add this. So we've got, these are our two new guys here. Put this here just to separate them, and then we have our new pub struct builder chain. And this contains a starter, and builders box, din meta map builder, and then a public thing, build data, which is a builder map, which is the struct we just created. So starter is an option. So we don't have to start with a initial map, I guess. Not having a first step would be an error condition, so we'll track it. We're referencing a new trait, initial map builder. We'll get to that in a moment. The builders is a vector of meta map builders, another new trait. And again, we'll get to it in a moment. These builders operate on the results of previous maps. And then the build data is a public variable containing the builder map we just made. Right. So now we'll implement some functions to support this builder chain, and we're going to start off with a new. And it's going to just initialize these guys here. Okay. I wonder if we should do the same default thing we did in previous builds. So we don't have to fill all this stuff in. Reese Jack says, hi, I'm French. Sorry for my English, beginner in Rust, and I see videos for inspiration. Okay, good. I'm sorry I don't speak French. I can say je m'appelle, but that's about it. So hopefully, so yeah, let me actually copy and paste this. If you look at this, this is a pretty interesting tutorial to go through. It teaches Rust at the same time that it teaches you how to do roguelikes. So let me paste this into chat. Maybe you'll find this interesting. Run it through a translator site or something. There we go. And you can see that I'm pretty far along in it right now. I've gotten all the way down to 4.14. So it's pretty good. And all of my repo is over here if you want to take a look at it. But other people have already have also done this particular tutorial. So there are a bunch of repos with it. So there's a link to that repo. Okay. Yeah, so we were going to do the default thing. I was thinking of doing the default thing, but that would mean adding the default. I guess we can do that. Can we create a default on this? I don't know. Okay, let's just implement it this way and then we can refactor it later. Builder chain. Builders, back new. And the build data is just a builder map. Now, why are we putting it in here instead of having a builder map new? Right? Okay, well, I'll put it here and then we might have to move it later. Because it doesn't make sense to create one here like this if you can just put a new function in the builder map. Spawn lib, spawn list, map new depth, and then history is vec new. Okay, so that's a builder chain. This is pretty simple. It makes a new builder chain with default values for everything. Now let's permit our users to add a starting map to the chain. Starting map is the first step that doesn't require a previous map as input and results in a usable map structure which we may then modify. All right, so this goes in the builder chain code, right? It doesn't return anything though. It just sets starter to some starter. I thought that we'd have to return something so that you could chain things together. But maybe they're coming up with a different pattern. Let's find out. So I think this, yeah, some starters initial. Oh, because we haven't gotten to this point yet with this tree. Okay. All right. Let's just move forward and see where this takes us. Although I'd like to understand the code before I type it in. Starter, boxdin, initial map builder. We can't compile it yet because we don't have half these symbols defined. If it's none, then self-starter is some starter. Otherwise, something is panic. You can only have one starting builder. Like that. So there's a new concept here, panic. We've seen that before. Okay, and then we also want to permit the user to add meta builders, and that's what the with function's for. There's a box din meta map builder, self builders push meta builder. That's pretty straightforward. We simply add the meta builder to the builder vector, Since vectors remain in the order in which you add to them, your operations will remain sorted appropriately. And then we'll implement a function to actually construct the map. Okay. And this is the random number generator, which we've been using all along. So match, self-starter. That's interesting. This syntax here, we're matching against the reference, the mutable reference. I'm just going to shorten that a little bit. And then some starter. We're going to build the starting map. With our build data, and then we're going to loop over all of the vectors for meta builder and self builders that are mute. Meta builder, build map, RNG, self build data. Okay. So we match our starting map. Yeah, he uses this pattern all the time, and I'm not a fan of it because you can just say if let sum starter equals, else panic. But we'll leave it this way for now. It's just the code is a little longer this way. Maybe it's more understandable this way. I don't know. Right, so we match on a starting map. We panic if there isn't one. We'll call build map on the starting map, and then we'll call build map on each meta map. That's not bad syntax. Okay, so now we're going to create these new traits. We've got an initial map builder trait and a meta map builder trait, and they both are identical in terms of their trait signature. Okay, let's grab this here, and I just want to put this here. Oops. Yank this line. Wait a minute. There. How did I get rid of those lines of code? There's the build map. Tekachine says, what are you building? I am working on this roguelike tutorial in Rust. It's something that somebody named Herbert Wolverton created, and I'm working my way through it slowly. I've gotten as far as chapter 4.14, and we're just every day I work a little bit more on it. I happen to like roguelikes, or playing roguelikes. I used to play them a lot when I had a lot of free time and no kids. I shouldn't blame my kids for not playing more roguelikes. That's mean. Okay, let's say pub trait initial map builder, and it takes a build map, and we're going to actually copy and paste this for the next one, and it takes a random number generator. And actually, to answer your question more accurately, I'm making this. This is a little roguelike. You can see we have a little guy, and we can run around, and we can spot traps, and we can point to things. It says player. It's a very, very bad, very low contrast description there. But we can run around and eventually spot enemies to fight and stuff like that. I guess eventually. All right, so generator, and then the build data, which is mut builder map, and that's the whole trait. And then we can create a second one of these, which is going to be called a meta map builder. The same exact function signature. Build map takes a random number generator, So we stopped creating new ones everywhere. Okay, so that's good. That was something I had an issue with when we were going through previous chapters. Because we were creating a random number generator and putting it in the ECS so that we could create an initial seed and have the same game every time we use that seed. But then in the previous N chapters, we were just spawning new random number generators. So I'm glad to see this is getting cleaned up. We'll also want to implement our spawning system. Is this part of... This is not part of the traits, right? This is part of... It doesn't say what it's part of. It just says here. Put this here. Build data structure. Okay, maybe we can derive it. Okay, so it's self.build data, and the only thing that has self.build data is this one, the builder chain. So this is part of the builder chain thing. It should say that, because we also created this guy, the builder map, but he doesn't have a build data. So, okay, so this is part of the builder chain impl. So let's add it to the end of the builder chain impl. Pub fun spawn entities. Gotta spell it right. And this is just spawner spawn entity. Okay. And I think that's the same as the other code we implemented, to just run through all of the entries in the spawn list and create those. Yeah, instead we're spawning from the spawn list in the build data structure, otherwise it's identical. All right, that's pretty good. And then finally we'll modify random builder, use our simple map builder with some new types to break out the creation steps. All right, so our random builder is here. And this is what we got right now, is creating this thing based off of a random number, and we choose a map, and then we mutate it here using waveform collapse sometimes, and then we mutate it with a sectional if we get 1 in 20 chance coming through. So we're going to change our random builder to just do this new stuff here. So I'm going to comment all of this out, so we still have it, and we can refer to it if needed, and then we'll delete it later. And for now, what we'll just do is create the builder. And then builder start with. This is going to end up generating 1 million warnings of unused code, right? Because we're not using any of these guys anymore. Builder with room-based spawner. New. Okay, so that's going to be all of those are going to be new. Okay. Let's create those guys. A room-based starting position and stairs. And then we just return the builder. And of course, none of these guys exist yet. Notice that we're now taking random number generator parameter. Ah, yes, I missed that. Okay. And it returns, instead of returning that boxed in map builder, we're going to return a builder chain. Okay. That's because we'd like to use the global RNG rather than keep making new ones. This way, if a caller sets a seed, it will apply to world generation. This is intended to be the topic of a future chapter. Okay, well, also now returning a builder chain rather than a box trait. There are also 2 new types here, room-based spawner and room-based starting position, and also room-based stairs. Don't forget that one. as well as a changed constructor for simple map builder. It no longer accepts a depth parameter. We'll be looking at that in a second. But first, let's deal with the changes to the main program resulting from the new interface. Okay, we now have the interface we want, a good map of how the system interacts with the world. Unfortunately, the world is still expecting the setup we had before, so now we have to fix it. So we have generate world map somewhere. It might be in main, but I think I moved it. It is in game state now. Yes. There it is. All right. Right here. So this is generate world map. We're gonna have to modify it to use the new interface, it says. So mapgen history clear is the same. And so this is all slightly different here. Let's see. We're gonna say RNG is equal to self ECS write resource RLTK random number generator. Now we haven't played with the ECS in a while, so this is now coming back to remind us of how that works. And when we call write resource, we're actually not saying we're going to write a resource. It means we want to find a resource and we want to have it a writable version of that resource. So the naming is a little awkward. Do we already have random build? We do. We have a call to random builder here. I mean, I don't actually need the rest of it because it's just directly. Can get it directly. Okay, and then we want to say builder, build map with the random number generator. Standard memory drop RNG. We called standard memory drop on the RNG. This stops the borrow on it, so we're no longer borrowing the self either. This prevents borrow checker errors on the next phases of the code. Okay, so maybe the borrow check we're seeing, oh, you have a writable thing in here and now you want to mutate it some more, that's not allowed. But why would you be able to do it here? Oh, you're not referencing self after this point until here. Okay. So standard mem drop RNG, and then we can say self map gen history build data history clone. Really, we're cloning all of that history. And then we're going to say let player start, and I'm going to modify this a little bit because it looks like they're just setting player start right here. We can just say equals. And we did that before. Yeah, let world map resource is self ECS write resource of the map. We'll set the world map resource like this. Builder. Oh, now it's going to be build data map clone. And then the player start is going to be builder build data starting position as mute unwrap clone. So that's what's going to come out of this thing here. There. And then spawn the bad guys. I'm assuming all of this stays the same. Nixflex, hi, how are you? Yes, there's cloning all over the place here. It's just a little frustrating, but you'd think that there would be maybe because builder gets dropped, so you need to you've created a copy, you've created it, now you want to clone it into here, and then the builder gets dropped at the end of this function, right? So you need to have saved it somewhere. But it's too bad that you can't just say, okay, take this chunk of memory instead of making a full copy of it. Just say, okay, give me ownership of it now, and then when builder goes away, I keep it. There might be a way to do that. I don't know it off the top of my head. All right. So then we'll set player to start to a clone of the builder's determined starting position. The option for the starting position must have a value at that point or it'll crash. Okay, and then we call spawn entities to populate the map. I'm assuming we still need all of this stuff here. They didn't say to delete it, and they kind of leave the rest of it hanging, so I'm just going to say, yeah, that's what we're doing. All right, so now we have to go into Simple Map Builder. And we're refactoring this a lot. So pub struct Simple Map Builder changes to that. That's the whole Simple Map Builder. Okay, and then we're going to implement initial map builder for it. And then apparently we have this rooms and corridors, which should already exist, right? Yeah, rooms and corridors already exists. Okay. So we don't need this impl for map builder. We just need a initial map builder. Like that. Why is it saying allow dead code? We should be calling this, right? That's weird. Raphael Luba, thank you for the raid. How's that debugger coming along? I'm anxious to see it working. Okay, so we have this, and then we have build map, mute self, and then we take the RNG. And the build data. That's builder chain, I bet. Yeah, gyrate incoming. Nice. Thank you for the raid again. Is your debugger almost working? He says with a chuckle. I like the way it was looking yesterday. All right, so we just pass in rooms and corridors with the random number generator and the build data. And then the rest of this just disappears. Boom, 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 boom. Because we implemented it, we moved all of that to the base class. So to speak, Rust doesn't really have base classes, but what I mean is the builder chain class, right, has all of that, and the builder map has more of it. Okay, so then we still implement Simple Map Builder. We need a new, and we don't have to do all of this stuff, but we are returning it in a box now. That's different. And so we have to say box new, like that. Raphael says, we just got message serialization going, so we're 90% done. Yeah, now you just have the other 90% to do, right? Thanks again, Raphael. Take care. All right, so we're as far as creating the rooms and corridors, this should be pretty much identical. Oh, except now we're going to get, yes, we're going to get the random number generator this way instead. 2 colons. And we're going to get the build data. And cargo format's going to reformat that for us. So we don't need to do this anymore. We already have the RNG. But now we have build data somewhere in here. Okay, let's take a look. Oh, and the rooms are now generated here. That's interesting. So instead of saying self rooms iter, we're just rooms iter. You see the change there because we're creating a rooms vec here. Let me separate it from the consts. Rust should be able to derive the type from this based on what we push into it, but that's okay. So if we do this, that's correct. Okay is false, and then I just break out of that. That's something I added. And then if it's okay, apply the room to the map. And this is instead of self map, it's build data map. and the new room. Okay, and then we say if rooms is empty, get rid of the self here. And then all these selves changed. Oh, this needs to change, right? Oh, that's interesting. It changes completely. It's I as U size instead of self rooms len. That makes sense, right? So it's just I minus 1 as U size. Oh, who did it? Profit. Thank you for the follow. Okay, and then so instead of self map, this just all changes to build data map, right? And then this instead of self is build data, and this instead of self is rooms. Oh, and then we have to assign it down here after we're done with the loop, right? Is this the end of the loop? Yeah. So after the loop is over, we have to set the build data rooms to some rooms. Because it should be none at this point, right? What else did we forget? I think that's everything. Build data, yeah, all the selves are gone. They'd show up in purple if they were there. So we don't have to worry about that. And now we have to worry about the, we don't have to do anything about the stairs, and we don't have to do anything about spawning entities because that is all handled in this room-based spawner. And we're also going to create a room-based starting position that handles those things. So all of this goes away. And that's it. That's the whole simple map builder. Okay. And again, we can't test this. We can't do a cargo check or a cargo anything because we're still halfway through modifying all of this and refactoring everything. All right, so we're going to create a new room-based starting position file. Oh, I went too far. Right. We just finished here. Now we're going to create a room-based spawner in map builders. Okay, so we can do that. And actually, I want to take a look at the simple map. Simple. To get the, yeah, we're going to have to change this, right? I forgot about that. The top of this needs to have the initial map builder and builder map. And we don't need map builder anymore. Okay. I don't know why these are in two different things here. Let's combine them. I don't know how that happened. Let's just do this, change that to a comma, and do that. And then apply horizontal tunnel and apply vertical tunnel. Aren't those... We must already have those somehow. Oh, yeah, what I did was I said create map builders star here. And that pulled those guys in. Okay. And we don't need this anymore because that's now part of the map builder. Okay. So I think we need to do the same imports here. Oh, almost none. Okay. So we don't need map. We just need meta map builder. Builder map and then spawner. I don't think spawner is there, but we'll find out when we try to build it. Okay, and then the random number generator. We'll just copy paste that there. And now we have room-based spawner, which doesn't have any data in it at all. Okay, and then it's just the same thing here, except instead of calling self rooms and quarters, we'll just say self build. All right, that's pretty straightforward. And again with the allow dead code. All right, I'm not going to worry about allow dead code right now. Impl room-based spawner, box, room-based spawner, box new, and that's easy. And then, oops, we want to go down here, and we create our build function, which is the same thing as the same signature as this. So let's just copy paste that and just change this to build, right? Build data, and oh, it takes a builder map instead of a builder chain. Interesting. But we're still calling it build data. So what is it doing? If let some rooms is build data rooms, so if there are rooms, then we'll spawn each room. Otherwise, room-based spawning only works after rooms have been created. Okay. We're not using the match this time. We're using the if let some syntax. Depth. Oh, dot depth. And what else? Spawn list. Just like that, right? And that's the only thing we're doing here. And then we just do our else panic. Room-based spawning only works after rooms have been created. Make sure our error messages are spelled correctly and go. Okay. And now we have to create room-based starting position, and then there was one other thing, room-based stairs. Right, I'm just scanning forward to see if I can, okay, so they're suggesting we can cargo run the project now, and we'll get lots of warnings about unused code, but this is the point where we'll actually get to see if how many bugs I just introduced. All right, so let's save that. Oops, I'm gonna write everything because I think there's a bunch of open files right now. So write everything, and then we're gonna create a new map builders, and this is going to be room-based starting position.rs. And I think we can just grab this stuff here. Oh, and it takes position. And it has another empty struct. And we're going to implement the meta map builder. Oops. Down here, same exact way. Takes a builder chain. Oh, builder map. I got that wrong before, didn't I? Map, like that. There we go. And then we implement it. It's almost exactly the same, isn't it? So if I just grab this and then just search and replace spawner, change it to starting position. Oh, there you go. Glad I did that. Okay, and then this is the same. And then instead of saying for room and rooms, we just say let start pos is rooms 0.center and build data starting position. Use some position x start pos 0. You know what? Why do it that way? Why make it difficult for yourself? Room-based starting position only works after rooms have been created. Okay, and then finally, so let's write that. Oh, I messed up center here. There we go. If I hit Control D, it's going to fail miserably, right? Oh, this is the simple map builder. Use of undeclared type. Oh, yeah, that's right. So we're going to actually have to import these here, right? We have all of these guys here. We also have to say mod room based spawner and mod room based. What was the one we were just doing? Starting position and stairs. So that's what we're doing next is stairs. Okay. So source map builders, room based stairs. All right. So those are those, and instead of spawner, it's tile type. Pub struct room based stairs. And again, we have the meta map builder. So let's pull it again. And change this to stairs. And instead of self-build, it's going to be... Oh, it is self-build. Okay, that stays the same. Copy this. Paste this. And stairs. And stairs. And then our build function. And it takes builder map, not builder chain. Okay, so if let some rooms is build data rooms. And then this is just the stairs position. And unfortunately, we just deleted all of that code from simple spawner. Let's see if we have it in DLA. No, starting position. Okay, we'll type it in. I was hoping to save a little typing here. So we're getting the last room in our rooms list. Oh, this should be, yeah, rooms len -1. We get the stairs index is going to be build data map XY IDX. And again, what we're going to do we'll just do XY like this, XY. Because why not? Build data map tiles stairs index is going to be tile type downstairs and build data take snapshot. Okay, so that means we place the stairs, we get a snapshot, and then we're done. And then we have an else up here, panic. Based stairs only works after rooms have been created. Okay. So let's take another look at random builder. Right, so it creates a simple map builder. It does a spawn. Reese Jack, thank you for stopping by. Appreciate your time. Right, so that's what we did. And now we should be able to cargo run it, but we need to cargo check it first to see what's failing. So there's room-based stairs. We need to add that to our list of things. What else? Doesn't like I. What doesn't it like about I? Local variable with a similar name. H. Did I put H up there? Oh, I never changed this to I. There we go. I changed that to underscore because it wasn't used anywhere. Now we're using it. So, okay. What doesn't it like here? There's no builder map in this scope. Interesting. Oh, I did an initial map builder instead of builder map. Okay. And that's going to be true of the other one as well. Yeah. There we go. And then show, oh. This should be somewhere easy to find. Oh, maybe it's just from the crate. I deleted it is the thing. Let's see where I deleted it from. Here. So it's just use crate this. Okay, we can do that. Get rid of the minus sign. Okay, one more check. Still 16 error. Oh, I never finished this file. That's weird. But there's still 16 errors. Oh, this is this. Oh. Right, so I'll have to add, I just did the mods, I didn't do the uses. Let's do the uses. And then we just need to add a colon star to each one. Right, that's that, and that. And then, what's wrong with this guy? Builder chain? Oh, okay, let's go back and look. Yeah, simple map builder should have the builder chain instead of the builder map. Does that make sense? Builder map. But then, oh. I just misread that whole thing, didn't I? There's no builder chain. It's all builder map. Okay, so that fixes those two errors. Yeah, and then those errors are just follow-on errors from that thing. Okay, let's do another check. We're down to 2 errors. One is spawn licit, and the other one is simple map builder. Supplied 0 arguments, expected 1. Let's see. Okay, maybe I messed that up. And the new, oh yeah, there's no new depth. Okay. Okay, so 0 errors and 69, of course, warnings. But we should be able to run this. And I think all the warnings are going to be the fact that we're not using all this code anymore. Right? We've just eliminated all of it. And that's fine. One of the things would be good to go through all of them and see. Like, we're not using this in room-based stair. Oh, that's true. We're not using the... We don't need the random number generator when we're placing stairs. So this should actually have an underscore on it. Just to say, okay, we accept it as part of the function, but we don't actually use... Oh, right there. So, yeah, I missed that. That's fair. That was on me. Okay, so let's run this. And it panics. Do we have any data to say why it panicked? I'm looking for where I can find a line number. Unfortunately, I don't see any line numbers. Panic bounds check, panic with hook, uncaught promise unreachable. It looks like it's in simple map builder somewhere. But unfortunately it doesn't show us the line number. So we're going to have to go over here like we do before and just run it on from the command line. Cargo run. And that's going to take a little while to compile everything, unfortunately. And here's the panic. So line 44. Index out of bounds. The len is 4, but the index is 6. Okay, so let's find out what we did wrong. Line 44 is right here. Huh. Okay, so this is going to the max rooms. And this is saying we're trying to index into number 6, but there's only 4 entries. Yeah, no, that makes sense, because if the room's not okay, if it intersects, it's not going to work. So why would that even be a thing? Let's take a look. Maybe there's something else in this code that I messed up. No, I think this is just a bug in the example here, right? Because if it's not okay, right? If the room intersects with another room, then we'll come down here and go to the next I, but I is going to be one past because we didn't push onto the rooms. So I think we need to change this back to rooms.len. And now we have 70 warnings. And the reason we have 70 is because now we're no longer using I. So let's change that back to an underscore. Nice. Okay. Let's try building that. And see if we can run this. Okay, it's building a simple map. This is good. And now hopefully it spawns some entities. Right? I don't see anything yet. We'll find out if it spawns stairs if we search the whole map. That might take a little while. I wasn't fast enough to see whether or not it... Oh, I just get hit by a trap. So it's definitely spawning entities. So the spawn code works. Oh, what do we have here? What is that? It's a fireball scroll. And there's a trap over there. Okay, and then this is there's a shield. So we'll equip the shield. There's another trap. I'm just looking right now for the stairs to see if the downstairs spawn, because that was a separate chained item. We can see that the room spawned. We can see that the item spawned. I just want to see that the downstairs spawned. Nope. Ah, there it is. Of course, it's in the last room I search. Okay. So now if I go down, it should create another simple map. Okay, perfect. All right, so it's all working. It's just we have a million errors. A million warnings, and that's because we haven't yet cleaned up. We're not using any of the other maps, and so we need to actually convert all of the other maps to use this new system. I'm scrolling past the one. So the next one they're looking at is the BSP Dungeon Builder, which is one we did a while ago. BSP. There it is. So there's an interior and there's the dungeon. And it looks pretty... Hopefully we don't have to type all this in. It should be all the same code, just modified slightly to use the new structures and things. Just like Simple Map Builder, we've stripped out all the non-room building code for a much cleaner piece of code. We're referencing the build data structure from Builder rather than making our own copies of everything, and the meat of the code is largely the same. Good. And then we can modify Random Builder to make this map type. Techie Chain says, why not use diagnostics plugins? Teach me. Tell me about what diagnostics plugins there are, and I will be happy to use them. This is very much a learning stream. I'm still new at Rust. I'm very, very new at this WASM stuff that I'm using to run it in the browser. And if there are some good plugins in Chrome for me to use, I will be happy to check them out. Alhendi, thank you for the follow. Oh, and guess what? You are my 100th follower. We hit the number 100, the big 00. All right, so if we do this for Mamba Dev, thank you. Mamba Dev, sorry. I read that wrong. Mamba Dev, thank you for the follow. All right, and then for Cellular Automata, we make similar changes. Okay. It's entirely possible we don't want to start in the middle of a map, so this is non-room starting locations. So that's an area starting point. I'm just looking forward because I want to see how far I can get with this current stream. I've been streaming for an hour. I usually go for 2, and I think we might be able to do... Yeah, so we're basically going through every single map type and cleaning them all up. Okay, that's fine. So let's do BSP Dungeons next. And we'll see how far that gets us in the stream and then take it from there. All right, so we still have these things. We are going to change this. We're going to use initial map builder and builder map. We still need map. Apparently we don't need position anymore. We are going to grab tile type, and I think apply room to map and draw corridor come from this here. So we don't need to worry about that. And then I use create star to get everything else. All right, so our BSP Dungeon Builder actually has one thing that's interesting. We save this one item. NeoVim plugin for linting. Oh yeah, so I am using let me share what I'm using. So I toggle byte. I didn't realize that's what you meant. I thought you meant a browser plugin for diagnostics. I apologize for the misunderstanding. What I'm using is this for my NeoVim setup. Let me copy this in case people are unaware of it. This comes from ToggleBit. And there's instructions here how to install it. And what I do is when I hit, I've got my Control D mapped to cargo check. You can see the cargo check down here, and so now there's an error here, right? So it just pops me straight to the error. So that's what I'm using. Oh, you're saying, yeah, so you get all the warnings and the errors inside the editor as I type. I get frustrated with that kind of style because I'm in the middle of typing something and it's telling me I've got something wrong. And yes, I know I've got it wrong because I'm in the middle of typing it, right? I haven't finished typing, so don't complain to me and then put things all over my screen so I can't see what I'm typing. So this is kind of a pared down version of that where I can do it on demand. I hit Control D. Like I said, I've got that mapped to Control D, and when I hit Control D, it will run the cargo check and generate the quick fix list. You can see that down here on the bottom line. I do know, I have seen people with having the errors happen in real time and just kind of have it on the top right hand corner showing up so you can see it as you're typing it, and that would be a lot less intrusive. So let me check out. I'll bookmark this and take a look at. Oh, this is the whole LSP thing. Yeah, I want to be able to if there's a plugin that'll do like just a quick mini window at the top or at the bottom, that might be handy. Semar Augusto says mine stays like VS Code. You mean it pops up in the middle of the screen on you, or it's somewhere else? Because one of the things I find frustrating is if I'm typing and then there's suddenly this giant window popping up on top of my code, I can't see what I'm typing anymore. Oh, it shows up on the side with an arrow. Okay, yeah, that might be a good way to go too. For now, I'm using this workflow, but I can definitely check out. Techie-chan says, I felt your way might be time consuming. It is, so it's a little slower. I'm sure for streaming it'd be nice to be nice and zippy and fast and everything like that. Unfortunately, I guess maybe that's something you'll have to put up with me for now. But if I can, I'll do a little research and see if I can find a better or more streamlined approach. But for now, this hitting Control D seems to be doing the trick for me. All right, so let me pull up Simple Map because this has the initial map builder thing. Let's copy that and go back to my thing here. And then we just change this to self build. Right, and this is builder map, yes. Okay. And then we delete this whole impl. And there's our new, and we no longer specify the depth. And then we box up our BSP with the rects. That's it. That's the whole thing. Okay, and then we have build, and we change the signature to include, oh, the random number generator. Yeah, so this whole thing. Like that. Yep. Okay, so that's the same signature. Good. We don't need this, but we do need rooms. Okay, so this looks the same. First room looks the same. And then we add the subrects. But I guess there's going to be a bunch of selfs that change to build data. Rooms changes here. And this changes to build data. Self add subrects is the same, and then build data takes snapshot. And then the number of rooms increments. Okay. Then this changes. And this changes. So we no longer use self.rooms. That all stays the same. Index and end y. Draw corridor. Why is that no longer a self? It's right here. That's something, oh, maybe that's something we have to change. No. I'm looking at this line here. No, this line here. I think that has to stay self, but it takes the map now. And that's not mentioned anywhere here, so maybe that's a... That's something we'll have to change, right? So I'll leave that with self draw corridor, and I'll just put in the build data map. And I'll pop down there and add the map. This should be builder map. Oh no, this should just be map. Oh, I see. Yeah, it's no longer a self because it's taking the map in this way. So maybe it needs to be like this. Maybe that's the way to do it. And then instead of self map tiles, this must be something that just got left out because there's no other way this exists, right? RG draw corridor. Yeah, it's in BSP Dungeon and BSP Interior. There's no other location that this exists. So we just need to pull this out. All right. So we'll get rid of the self on here, and we'll just call draw corridor and pass in the map. And then we say build data, take snapshot. We don't do stairs anymore because stairs is handled by a different builder. So that ends that whole thing. And we just say build data rooms is some rooms. And we're done. And all of that goes away. Okay, now let's take a look at add subrects. This all stays the same. That looks like it all stays the same, right? There's no reference to any of the build data stuff in there. Get random rect. We already have it taking the random number generator. So that's all the same. Get random subrect. Still returns a rect, takes in the random number generator. All this stays the same. Okay. And then is possible. Oh, the only thing that changes here now is self. It says map tiles. Is this another bug? Oh, map comes in this way. Ah, okay. Okay. So we have to put, we have the self, the rect, and then the map, which is just a reference to map, and then we just say map down here. Right. And this changes. And this changes. Right? So that's what changes there. Do we have any other references to map? Okay, it only goes up there. So that means is possible has to get the map. And I missed that. Yeah, build data map. Okay. I did see it here because it was already there. Okay. All right. Let's see if this works. So this is where I hit Control D and it automatically saves everything and does a cargo check, and then it pops me to the first mistake. Box new. And then I can just go to the next mistake like this. Unclosed. Oh, yep. It's definitely unclosed. And then rect is misspelled. Oh, and this just takes map like that. What else? Oh, this says simple map builder. This should be BSP dungeon builder. Okay, cargo check. 3 errors left. Dusty Pawsey, thank you very much for the follow. All right, what happened here? BSP Dungeon Builder. I'm creating oh, it should be a box, right? Box around this guy. And then it's not self map width, it's builder map, right? Build data. And build data map height. But it is self-rects. Okay. It's 2 more errors. So get random rect doesn't like. Cannot borrow is mutable. It's already mutable. Oh, they just passed it in directly like this. Okay. So that's that one and this one. Okay, so we're back to 69 warnings and no errors. So now we should be able to do BSP dungeon. So let's change our random builder. Instead of using simple map builder, we're going to say BSP dungeon builder. And Dusty Pawsey says, now let's annoy the Rust devs as long as it takes to make the bar checker intelligent enough to recognize the recursion isn't the devil. Ha! Okay. I've done recursion before with Rust. There's a number of Advent of Code puzzles that I solved using recursion, so it's possible to do. Don't ask me how to do it. I'd actually have to sit down and actually write that and then argue with the borrow checker until I get it to compile. But in general, I found, I know as much as the borrow checker can be annoying, it's definitely improves my code style even outside of using Rust. My day job I write in C, and so it's now kind of mentally making me think about all of my C code as I write it, which is a good thing. The Markham, thank you very much for the follow. All right, so we should be able to build this. Oh, did I change it? I did. I changed the BSP Dungeon Builder. So now we should be able to see, and now we still have 69 warnings. That's fine. Let's build this. It's annoying as heck. Is that what you're saying? Okay, Dusty. Yeah, it is annoying. But I think as I get used to it, and like I said, I'm still a beginner at Rust, but as I get used to it, I think I'm going to spot it as I type the code before the bar checker complains. I'll be able to start seeing it beforehand, which I'm looking forward to. That's when you achieve the fluency level 1 in Rust, is when you can anticipate when the bar checker is going to complain. All right, so this is the BSP Dungeon Builder building a dungeon for us. So that definitely worked, and it should work exactly the same as before with the simple map builder, except now, yeah, so we still get, oh, I just got hit by a trap. Good thing there's a health potion right there. I can also rest up. There we go. I haven't seen any, oh, I just got hit by 2 more traps. Nice. I haven't seen any mobs yet, though. Hoping to spot a mob somewhere. There's a dagger. I can equip that. No mobs to fight, which is kind of sad. Oh, now I'm getting hungry. There's nothing I can do about that. I haven't found any food. And when you're hungry, you can't rest and heal. Oh, there's some food. I just saw it. So I'm going to eat that. B. Now I'm well fed. Oh, there's a bug. My HP should have gone up to... Wow. I wonder when that bug got introduced, because it's been a while since we looked at the health code. The health, yeah, the food code. Let's try again. Health. Oh, it did go up. Okay. It went up a little bit. Yeah, this tutorial, Dusty Pauses says the fog of war thing is nicely done. Yeah, so this is basically all from the tutorial. I'll paste the link to the tutorial again into chat. No, that's the wrong one. This is what I'm going to do next after I'm done with the... after I'm done with the roguelike, I'm going to work on interpreters. But yeah, so this is a really cool tutorial. It's been helping me learn a lot of Rust. So I recommend it if you're interested in learning Rust and you like roguelikes, which is, you know, I sit in the middle of that Venn diagram. Okay, so the BSP thing is working. But again, we haven't seen any opponents. You'd think that we'd see some. Dusty Pawsey, thank you very much for subscribing. Okay, let's see. No, I'm just looking to see if there's any... Oh, there we go. We finally got an opponent. And do I have my dagger equipped? I do, so I should be able to... Oh, I'm probably going to die though, right? Let's try consuming a health potion and another one. There we go. So I killed him. Of course. Oh, and then I stepped on a trap and died. Okay. There we go. So that's that. The BSP Dungeon Builder works great. Dusty Pawsey says, I love Rust. I hate games, but I like the technique behind them, if that makes sense. Yeah, it does. I mean, it's totally possible to appreciate technical skill, even if the result is not something that you're interested in. Like some people don't like animation but can admire the technical skill that goes into animating things. So yeah, I totally get that. All right, so we have this. We're going to check this in. We have a bunch of code here. Was there anything I missed from that? No. Git add commit. Starting to use the initial and meta builder code. Simple and BSP are converted. Wow, that's a long commit message. So the next up would be converting the cellular automata. Okay, where are we? So you should understand the basic idea here now. We're breaking up builders into small chunks and implementing appropriate traits for the map type. Looking at cellular automata maps, you can see we can do things a little differently. We still make the map as usual. We search for a starting point close to the middle. This looks like it should be a separate step. We search the map for unreachable areas and cull them. This also looks like a separate step. And then we place the exit far from the starting position. That's also a different algorithm step. Okay. Good news, the last three of those are used in lots of other builders, so implementing them will let us reuse the code and not keep repeating ourselves. The bad news is if we run our cellular automata builder with existing room-based steps, it will crash. We don't have rooms. So we'll start by constructing a basic map builder. Okay, so the cellular automata is just going to do the same thing it does now, except using the new framework that we're developing. But we need to be able to create area starting points as opposed to room-based starting points. And then calling unreachable areas is going to be its whole thing. Remove unreachable areas, returning most distant from common.rs without returning a Dijkstra map. And then we need to do the Voronoi based spawning a distant exit. Okay, so this is going to be, and then finally we're done with cellular automata. So this is going to be a very long segment, and I'm just about at the end of, I've got another 15 minutes I can stream. So I think HG, git push. Let's push that up. And because I like to take a look, I take a look, and there it is. It was 2 minutes ago. All right, so I don't want to start this without having an end in mind. I don't like ending in the middle of a concept. So I'm not going to start this. But I do have 15 minutes. So let me switch back really briefly to my Advent of Code. I've been doing Advent of Code for the past month, and I finally finished it yesterday, but there's something that's annoying me in it in day 23, I think it is. Yeah, because we have day 23 and we have day 23A, because I couldn't think of how to make it generic. And I don't know, and now I'm thinking maybe 15 minutes isn't enough for that either. Although it might be. If I change this to just be the distance of how far down we want to go. If I need an extra 5 minutes, you could lend me some. Thank you, Dusty. I always appreciate extra time. No, this will take more than 20 minutes to do, because we have to go through this, and we have to create our new culling code and a new starting room code. Yeah, and then change the spawning to handle the Voronoi style searches for generating noise regions to spawn in, which is a whole thing in itself. So I was thinking that for this thing we could just say depth and give it a depth, and then all places where I say 4 here I can just say depth. This will be the first refactor. Where else do we have depth? Oh, okay, so here's where we care about this. Again, so this will be depth -1. Yeah, so this should work. So let's run day 23A just to see. Oh, that's right, because everything's shifted by 1 now, unfortunately. There it is. Okay, so it should be 49,742. Let's just double check that in my advent of code here. This guy, 23, all the way down, 49,742. Okay, now if I save this, it fails. Oh, neighbors, I gotta say neighbors 4. Right, so now if I run it, it should come up with the same number. Yeah, and this is something else I need to fix. Oh, the print. 49,742. Okay, so it came up with the same number. It took a second longer though. Oh no, 26, 41, 26. Okay, it can't use the same amount of time. Let's clean up too. All right, so now I should be able to use this same code, except I have this issue here where we either have this long rooms or the short rooms. So we'll call it part 1. Well, did I use part 1? No, I don't. Part 2. And part 1 only has a depth of 2. Oh no, this is the end state. So this is end part 1 and end part 2. And then we'll have start part 1 and start part 2. So let's see if we can generate both of them. So part 1, oops, just removes the two middle guys. Okay. And then we want to look here. Let's get rid of all of the extraneous code just to clean this up. We don't need any of that. So this is all. Okay, and then I don't need this, and I don't need that. So I should be able to now create, this is a function part 2, and we can give it start rooms, like this maybe, and then end rooms. That should be like that. Oh. Yeah, so we do this. The hallway stays the same. It's just an empty 11, so I don't need to change that. I can just change that here, empty 11 like that, and this will be the start. The starting rooms. And then the end condition is going to be the ending like that. And then we just want to call part 2 with start part 2 and end part 2. Like that. All right, so let's see, does this refactor work? It does not. Can't find value h, right? This needs to be empty 11 again. Oh, right. Right, because this is 4 deep, and you can't make this variable size. So we have to actually include, yeah, I'll just put empties for those guys. Where did it go? Here we go. Empty, empty. It's going to make it very big. That's okay. There. And it doesn't like that. Expected, oh, can I do that? I can. Okay. So we have 5 warnings. Let's see if it runs and comes up with the same answer. Okay, yeah, hallway we're not using. And start and end part 1 we're not using. 49,742. Okay, so it's still coming up with the same answer for part 2. What I want to do now is the only difference between part 2 and part 1 is this number here. So we'll just add the depth here. Create a usize, and we'll just call this solve. And we should be able to say solve with a depth of 4. That still checks. Okay. Now we're going to say this, and we're going to say depth over 2. I'm cheating. So then we should be able to say solve, start part 1, end part 1 with a depth of only 2. And it doesn't like that because I misspelled part. Both times. Wow. Okay, now we're down to 3 warnings, all of which I know how to fix. And we'll see if we come up. Wow. That's scary. This shouldn't take this long. It should be 14,350. Okay. There must be another depth thing that I didn't take into account in this code. Let's see what it is. This is fine. This is fine. This is okay. Check in O.A to make sure they're all empty. That's right. This just inserts the possible one, which is fine. So it must be this one then. We're going to go through each hall position, and we're going to see what column we want to go to. That's correct. That's correct. We're going to start at the depth here. Oh! Oh, I know why. Because the end condition for part 1 shouldn't be this. It should be empty, empty. That's why. I got it. Okay, let's see if that works. I thought I had it. Talkabit says this is a very sus looking roguelike. Yeah, sorry. I finished the part of the chapter I was going to do for today, and then I figured, well, let me refactor a little Advent of code. And it's not working right, which is great, which is awesome. I'll have to finish this refactor tomorrow because I'm just about done with my stream. Yeah, I'm wrapping things up Togglebit. So I would not be a good person to raid if that's what you were coming over to check out. Esther Aether says, yeah, it looks like Advent of Code. It very much looks like Advent of Code, and I don't know why this end condition should work. Right? Because we shouldn't be going down into these empty sections. So I must have messed something up somewhere. And I don't have the brain right now to figure it out. All right, so I'm going to wrap things up here in the middle of modifying day 23, and maybe I'll start with this tomorrow, and then we'll work on the roguelike for the cellular automata and convert that over. Meanwhile, is there anybody streaming that we can raid? So close. Yeah, I think I'm close. It's just that I don't have the brain to do it right now, unfortunately. And my voice, I don't know if you can tell, is starting to go. There's no Rust streams currently. Yeah, that's a shame. All right. Well, thank you everybody for hanging out with me, and hopefully I'll see you tomorrow for a little bit more of Advent of Code cleanup, and then we'll get into Cellular Automata. All right. Have a great day, everybody, or the rest of the day, whatever you got. Take care.